Well, welcome back to Living with a Classic. I'm here in the workshop with this Daimler Double Six that you've seen a lot on the channel. It was actually my first customer car years ago. And yeah, it keeps coming back for small things every now and then. And he's bought another car and work on that sometimes. So this arrived on a tow truck with a no start. It's weird. I don't really know what's going on. I've loaded off the tow truck. I tried a couple things outside. And I'll show you that again. I tried, just bypassing the relay, going straight to starter. Doesn't want to go. So I've had to tow it around my building and then use a winch to get it in here. I have had the battery on charge to make sure that is full, and also done just a health test. It's a new battery and it's showing over 90% health, and it's really good. So that isn't the issue. So initially what happened, car had been stored in his garage for all of winter, and then he got it out and it fired up right away, and he drove it, and he just called me. He was so happy. He was driving so well. And then suddenly it started charging badly. So I was actually planning on, he lives kind of far away, and I was planning on driving there with an alternator, because using an alternator in place on one of these is not that bad. And I said, well, I can do that. Then one night when he was driving, it was charging, because it was on and off charging, good and bad. And it was charging pretty badly, and it actually stopped. And to get home, he put like a battery jump box he had with him just on the battery, and then drove it the last mile or so home. Next day, it would not start. So what I'm thinking is, it's very odd for an alternator and the starter to fail at the same time. And they do share a couple things in common. They're on the same side of the engine, so they do share a positive cable between them. So could that be the issue? So the main positive goes to the starter, and then from the starter it goes to the alternator. So the battery gets charged from the alternator via the starter and then back to the battery in the boot. So could that be a thing? Could it be that it's all the way in the boot and that is the issue? Everything else in the car seems to be like working well. The windows are fast and everything, so I think there's not a bad connection back there. Battery terminals look really good in the boot. The other thing is the engine is grounded with a ground strap, so that's also a thing they have in common. So let me show you around. Let's try some troubleshooting, and hopefully we don't have to replace the starter. This is a late Daimler Double Six with catalytic converters. It means removing the cats, and it's just kind of tight. You need to remove exhaust on any V12 to get the starter out, but with the cats in place, it just makes it a lot worse. So let me show you what's going on, and hopefully we don't have to replace the starter. It's a little tight in the workshop here. I'm working on a TVR over here. I already lifted the car up a bit to prepare so we can go underneath. The battery is on charge, it's pretty much fully charged, but I tested it before and it had like a 90% charge. So that's just, I did that while waiting. So let me hook up the battery. I'll show you what happens, and then I'll show you a trick of how you can, the starter relays up there on the firewall, and how you can bypass that to test things. But I think since that didn't work, I'll show you that now just off camera, and then we'll continue to get the battery charged a little bit more. I won't show you off camera, but I'll show you with the battery not connected. So I've done this many times. There is a relay back here on Jags of this era. The brown cable is a constant feed 12 volts. And then going down to the starter is this cable over here, which is white and red. So what you can do up here is remove that white and red from the starter relay. If you have an earlier car with the battery next to it, you can just jump that to the positive of the battery and it should crank. Otherwise, remove the brown one there and just use a short piece of wire between them. You should be able to crank the engine. I've done that and nothing happens. So something is up either with the starter, grounding, or all that, like I said. But let me connect up the battery quickly, and let's turn the key, and I'll show you that all you hear is that relay click. Here is a jumper cable I just used. That's all you need. But we're in park, and you see, that's it. Just a little click. It's actually odd. It really sounds like the starter is trying. Huh, really strange. But let's have a look at electrical connections at the starter, see if anything's bad there. And what we could do as well is just, these engines are pretty easy to rotate. Let's grab a wrench and rotate the engine by hand and just see if the starter maybe has gotten stuck in the flywheel or something. So we'll do that as well. You can get a 7/8 wrench up on there, and just to save on yourself, just use another one because these are kind of heavy engines. Did you hear that? The starter was stuck in the flywheel. I just heard a click. Something went out again. All right, it turns over freely, this engine. That is good. Let me get this off. I wonder if that was it. Okay, let's connect up the battery again. Yeah, it's ringing. And see if it starts. Okay, let's try it again. It does go forward, like the starter. I think the solenoid engages, but nothing else. And then it's sort of, since there's no inertia of the engine spinning, it doesn't go back. Okay. I just want to crank it over by hand one more time so the starter disengages from there, and then we'll go and have a look. Maybe it's just a bad connection down there. I'm under the car, and here's the starter. It's quite tight on these later V12s with a cat in the way. But look up there. That's gotten a little hot up there. So the post you're seeing up there is the main positive from the starter, and then which is the red up there. Then you see the black going away there. That goes over to the alternator, and that's sort of what I was thinking about before. That must be the common link. If you have a look, you see that terminal down and to the left. That is the starter. That is like the switch from the relay. That cable is gone. I really can't find it. Let's have a look from up top, because I think if we remove the air filter housing, we'll be able to have a look down here and see it a lot better. Of the cat. I really want to avoid removing the cat until we know we have to remove the starter or not. If it's just bad connection so we can clean it up and save it, that's great, because getting the cat off means the downpipes, studs up there, things could break. And I believe these cats are different on different models, but on some years, I mean, you need to get rid of like the steering rack. We're talking about oxygen sensor. It's a lot. So if we don't have to do that, that'd be great. Yeah, those connections down there don't look that great. So I'm hoping it's just a bad connection. And it does seem to click the starter in place. So it seems, I don't know, I can't see the trigger wire connection. I'm hoping to see that better, but that part seems to work. It seems to be that main positive cable going down there. So we're going to remove a bit of all of this. Get that out of the way. And hopefully we'll see a little bit better, and maybe we can do everything from up top. Oh, come on. And not have to do it from below. There we go. It's always really tight getting this off on this side. Sometimes you need to actually remove the filter first, and then there's the ABS pump in the way. It's a lot. I'll just lay it on here for now. And then I think if I undo the back part of this as well, I'll be able to see everything. So let me do that, and then it'll come in here for a closer look. If you have a look all the way down there, I can actually see the connections pretty well from up here. I'm going to spray just some different fluids on there to ease up that rust. And I'm going to disconnect the main positive from the starter. We'll try cleaning all that up and see if that helps. And yes, the battery is disconnected. A long while later, I got the nut off there. And that's been a bad connection there for a long time. You see, I think it's actually melted the washer and it looks completely welded. I'll see if I can find a different nut. Otherwise, we'll clean this up. We'll clean up the connections down there. They don't look too terrible, but I think they just been loose. He did say this car had a replacement starter about 15 years ago or something. So I wonder if it's just been slightly loose. The threaded part sticking out of the starter, the terminal, that looks really good. So that's good. I think this nut took most of it. I'm going to go through my parts, see what I got, clean everything up, and assemble it with some dielectric grease. And let's see if it works. I went through my spares, and I have a spare identical starter that I know is bad, and just have it left as a core. And I took off, these were the washers on there, and that was nuts. So I cleaned up the nut, grabbed a identical new washer, and I'll clean up this spring washer as well. I'm going to go and clean up the contacts down there. Impossible to film that, but I'll do that, put it all back together. We'll connect up the battery. Hopefully it all comes back to life. That's all back together and tight. I just connected up the battery again. So kind of moment of truth here. If it will crank or if the starter is bad. It does. So I'm just shutting it down because I don't have the air filter boxes on. It will idle super high without those screws in. Great. Let's put that together loosely. Open up the door, and then I want to see if it charges as well. All right, those bolts are in. Let's try again. It starts really quickly and well. Let us see if the voltmeter wants to go up. There we go, that's slowly climbing. There is something with the alternator on this car. I mean, the alternator light, exciter light has not been on for years, and I've seen this car for about 5 or 6 years. But it's always charged well. Look, we're going past 13. Let's check. I've connected up a device I have, which is both a battery tester and a charging system tester in the back. We can actually run simulated loads on it, which is quite good. So go and get a charging test. Look, 14. I don't know if you guys can see the screen, but it's showing 14 point something. I'm not going to do the increased charging. Well, just say never mind, because I'm not two people. But you can test, at 14.1 loaded, and this is idle at like 700 RPM. I'd say it's charging just fine. I don't think I've seen it sit that high on the volt gauge for years. So that had me actually thinking, lots of these cars coming in, the V12s at least, it will sit, just below 13. So maybe this is a good thing to clean up that post there on the starter. But let's give the engine some load. Turn on headlights. Turn on the AC. That turns on the coolant fan up front. The fan's in here. And that will also, put a load on the engine. And main beams. What else have we got? We'll put fans on high. We will put on heated rear screen. You name it, it's on. As long as it doesn't go into the red, I'm pretty happy. AC blows nice and cold though. That's good. I replaced all the O-rings and everything in this AC system about 2 years ago or so. It seems to be good. we're sitting just below 13. I mean, that's where a lot of these sit, and that is just fine. So then, you know, this is a really unrealistic scenario, but turn off the heated screen, turn that off. Look how the idle came up. And let us just watch charge gauge go back up. I think where it's at before, that was 14.1. You have to think, you have to travel all the way there, all the way to the battery in the back. That really isn't bad at all. But let's just see if it will restart. I want to do this just a couple times. Let's do it 5 times or so. The starter is working so well. 3, 4. That is perfect. I think we fixed the issue. Alright, it's the next day, hot and sunny. I just took it for a long spirited drive and sat out here in the sun for about half an hour. Started perfectly fine today, but I think a heat soak will really know if we have a good connection, things are working well, because that's really when things get difficult to start. I think it was just that copper nut that took most of the brunt. The cables looked fine. Yes, it looked like, you know, a little white burnt around there, but on the starter, that just wiped off with my fingers. So none of the plastic is melted, nothing like that. The stud was nice and firm, and it was charging great while I was driving. So I have the keys here. Let's see how it fires up after it's been sitting for about half an hour heat soaking. Oh, it's pretty crazy hot in the car though. Oh. So let's see. That was just perfect. And let's just see that we come up and charge. So there is something with the exciter wire and the alternator, but it's been doing that. I think I spoke to him and said it's been doing it before he's coming in. So over like 10 years. And this car doesn't get driven much. It's a summer car that the customer has at a summer house. So we're talking like maybe 4 weeks a year, 5 weeks a year it gets driven. Has such good oil pressure, this engine. Look at that, we're sitting right about 13, which we know is 14 volts. Well, let's just do it one more time. That is such a quick and good starter. Well, that's it for this video. I thought it was going to be a little bit more. I thought that we were going to have to at least replace something. But owner got lucky there, and you guys got to see something a little bit different. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. We try to do some, you know, want to have a customer car in when it's something a little small and interesting. Try and film it for you guys. Anyways, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with friends. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel. It really does help out a lot. Until next time, I'm Adam. This is Living with a Classic. I'll see you soon.